I'd like to welcome you to the Crime Stopper New York Region January Crime Stopper Month launch. My name is Dave Forster. I'm going to let the chief in a second introduce a couple of other people that have joined us, but I want to pay sort of special attention to our friends here in the front row that I'm sure you'd probably rather be in class today than here.
No.
No? Sure. That's the wrong. Yeah. So we have grade 5 students from Central Park Public School, and we're going to have some fun in a little bit after we get rid of some adult business that we have to do first. So, our first speaker today is no stranger to anyone in this room. We'd like to ask York Regional Police Chief Eric Jolliffe to come up and say a few words, please.
Thank you very much, Dave, and good morning and welcome to our 5 district headquarters. And I just would like to introduce and thank the commander here, Inspector Chris Bowen, for hosting us. Thank you, Chris. And of course, the commander in charge of our Community Service Bureau, Inspector Louis Malvo. Thank you also for being here. And again, thanks for joining us. Hopefully we're going to have some fun as Mr. Forster indicated that we'll have to take care of some adult business first and then we'll get into the good stuff. But again, I'd also like to welcome everyone to Crime Stoppers kickoff here for the month of January. And on behalf of all the members of York Regional Police, I want to thank the Chair of Crime Stoppers York Region, Jack Hurst, and the volunteer board for the work that they do every day to ensure that the Crime Stoppers program here in the region unfolds the way it's supposed to unfold. And I thought I'd just share with you, especially for our media folks, just a little bit about the success of the program here in York Region. I can tell you, since the program was instituted in the region, it's allowed the Regional Police Service to make more than 2,800 arrests. We've laid over 7,300 criminal charges. We've cleared more than 3,000 cases, recovered more than $30 million worth of stolen property, and we've taken over $100 million worth of drugs off the street. So that's a pretty significant accomplishment through a really solid program operating here in York Region. And I know that this month and this year, Crime Stoppers is promoting the theme of celebrating differences. And I can tell you, and you only need to look at the young people in this room, that York Region is one of the most diverse communities in Canada, and that's something that we all can stand behind. And a little later, we're going to unveil some artwork and the talented young folks that have produced that artwork. And for you young people, I would encourage you to help us out in terms of if you see something or you feel something's not right, that you can either go to the kids' help phone line or you can actually report something anonymously. That means that no one will know who you are, to Crime Stoppers. And this is why I can tell you that this is why the Crime Stoppers is a very successful program, a program that makes sure that York Region is one of the safest places to live in the country. And we do this by teamwork, and we're all in this together to make sure that our community is safe. And when I talk about teams, a little later this morning, Crime Stoppers will be introducing an exciting new initiative that involves a famous Canadian superhero, and that's Captain Canuck. And you can see some of the posters that are up there. But you might not be aware that York Regional Police has its own superhero. It's called United. And we have a comic book and a superhero character who shines the light on cooperation and collaboration, which is needed between the community and the police. And our United program was launched in November 2014. and it's a public safety campaign, and where we want to work with our community. And it's a very unique and innovative program, and which has been made possible by community volunteers and the skills and talents of the members of YRP. So what you're going to see is all YRP, or York Regional Police, me. And our United is to break down barriers between people. So both superheroes, both Captain Canuck and our United, are going to be joining forces today around the fight against crime. So again, I just want to thank you all for joining us here today, and I know we're going to have some fun in a bit, and we're going to have the opportunity to unveil some very talented artwork. So thank you very much for joining us here at our 5 district headquarters, and gang, I know it's probably way more fun being here than in the classroom. I won't out the teacher too bad, but because she does a great job. So I hope you enjoy yourself here today, and again, just thank you for your attendance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Special thanks to you and all the men and women of York Regional Police for their ongoing support of the Crime Stopper program. Without your support, we wouldn't be the success that we are here in York. Our next speaker is the Chair of Crime Stoppers of York Region. He was probably out, I'm not sure what he was doing this morning, but he's here with us now. Chair Jack Hurst.
Certainly my apologies for holding everybody up, especially keeping you children away from school when you want to get back so quickly. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Crime Stoppers in York Region, I want to welcome everybody here for the press conference that, for us in the community, we look at this tie with York Regional Police as a very valued relationship. Crime Stoppers Month is recognized around the world, and we're pleased today to be recognizing the past year's accomplishments that have been achieved here with Crime Stoppers, and also your participation, as we have student poster contest winners and the launch of this year's theme, which is A New Era of Crime Needs a New Understanding. Crime Stoppers in York Region was formed in March of 1986 as part of the Toronto and Regional Crime Stoppers programs, and also part of Durham, York, and Peel Region. As our populations grew, the various tips grew, and we became large enough that we could run our own programs separately. So in July of 2001, we became our own entity known as Crime Stoppers of York Region. Crime Stoppers is a three-way partnership involving many of you in the community, the police, and a very vital partner, the media. We use an anonymous tipster system and cash rewards to help solve crimes. People can submit tips three ways. You can call 1-800-222-TIPS, submit a tip online at our website, www.180022tips.com, or by text messaging your tip to crimes, that's 274-637, and starting their message with the word York. Whichever method is chosen, the method is always anonymous. Lastly, Crime Stoppers is a volunteer-based program run by volunteers, like the Board of Directors, from your community. Not only do volunteers make up the Board of Directors, but there are also volunteers who go out in the community on behalf of Crime Stoppers, and they attend various parades, Crime Stopper functions, displays at key traffic points in the community. I'd like to thank the members of the board. I know we have a couple of board members here in addition to David and myself, and Don McLean. And sitting at the back there, Lil Ralph. So all of us are volunteers, and we're committed to working with York Regional Police as well as the community to halt crime and obviously try to make the community safer for our up-and-coming adults. You may ask yourself, how successful has the program been this past year? I'd like to share some of the statistics highlighting Crime Stopper achievements during this past year. Crime Stoppers of York Region received 2,086 tips, 860 were received by phone, 1,151 web tips, and 75 text tips. These tips assisted YRP in arresting 57 people, resulting in 112 charges being laid, with over $26,000 in stolen property recovered. There were $41,000 worth of drugs seized. Additionally, 6 weapons were taken off the streets of York Region, and over $17,000 in rewards were authorized to be paid out to our tipsters. So, people may ask, where do we get this money to pay the tipsters? Well, we have volunteer fundraising activities held throughout the year, and a lot of the, well, majority of the funds that were raised are in fact used to run the program and to provide the tipsters with the funds to encourage turning the bad guys in. So with the use of our website, www.180022tips.com, and social media like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, we've been able to reach a much broader section of the population. However, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to thank the media. The vast majority of our tipsters are still reporting that they have seen a case profiled on television, radio, and in print media. Without the partnerships that we have, our many media outlets and our program would not, or with our many media outlets, our program would not enjoy the successes that we do. This past year at the Crime Stoppers International Training Conference in Toronto, our program was awarded 2 awards for Best Print Crime of the Week and Best Print Special Feature. These awards were in the category of 1 to 3 million people in population, and we are in competition from programs all around the world. In a few moments, I want to share with you another initiative your board is taking and related to the illicit and illegal trade of wildlife in York Region. In closing, thank you very much for coming today, and together we can all make a difference.
Thanks, Jack. Just a couple other acknowledgements. A gentleman that's sitting here with us today who's also a board member in York, and this quiet, silent type that keeps us all together, and that's Roy Hamilton. In addition, also, there's 2 members of the York Regional Police Service that work with Crime Stoppers on a daily basis, and that's Sergeant Trevor Henko and Constable Pete Dunn. And to both you 2 gentlemen for all the work that you do. As we've heard, Crime Stoppers' theme for this 2016 year is a new era of crime meets new understanding. Crime Stopper programs across Ontario and across the world will continue to work with our partners to face the new challenges created by the criminal element. We live in a society today where words such as cybercrime and terrorism are all too common, and never has it been more important to rely on community mobilization to bring information forward to assist in the fight against crime. Just a little bit more of the stuff, guys, and we'll get on to the good stuff. In 2015, Crime Stoppers here in Ontario, our programs, we have 38 of them in Ontario, we received over 200,000 calls, and that resulted in over 42,000 tips that were actionable, which means that the police officers could use to their benefit. This represents about a 2.4% increase over the prior year. What was really interesting is we had a 21% increase in the tips that are being reported online, so obviously through your desktops, laptops, and et cetera, and a decline in the number of phone calls that we've been receiving. Although the approved awards continue to increase, in large part the quality of the information that the police is receiving has actually resulted in lower payouts. And that's a different trend that we haven't seen before. Some of the new initiatives that we did in 2015 across the province of Ontario was a partnership with the Toronto Zoo, and there's a poster at the very end, and we'll hear a little bit more about that in a little while. Little known fact, unless you've heard us speak before, that there are 8 species of turtles here in Ontario, and 7 of them are endangered. The reason for that is they're being poached and they're being illegally traded. They're used not only here locally, but they're being shipped around the world. The illegal trade of wildlife is the 4th most lucrative criminal activity in the world, only exceeded by the trade in narcotics, counterfeiting, and human trafficking. So it's a very significant crime and gaining in importance all the time. Here in Ontario, we recently entered into a partnership with the Ministry of Finance in their Intelligent Assessment Unit, and we're going to be targeting the illegal sale of contraband tobacco products. We've heard mention that a little earlier in 2015, Ontario hosted for the first time ever the Crime Stoppers International Training Conference, together bringing people from 19 countries out of the, at that time, 26 countries participating around the world. Dignitaries, law enforcement, and Crime Stopper board members all traveled to here in Ontario to see what we do, and we also had the benefit of learning what they do in their countries. And it's very unique to see how their problems are very similar to our problems, and we don't always think of that. You often hear about the plight of the slaughter of rhinos and elephants in Africa, and you think, well, geez, how does that affect me? I live in Markham or York region. But the tie into organized crime and the plight of turtles and moose and bear here in Ontario is a very similar activity with the same type of an outcome. Globally, Crime Stoppers International continues to expand, and we're up to 31 countries around the world, with a few others awaiting certification. We recently partnered with the CNN News Freedom Project. Human trafficking is a $40 billion a year industry, and the CNN Freedom Project will promote Crime Stoppers International to accept anonymous information worldwide in the fight against human trafficking. CSI has also partnered with Interpol's Environmental Crime Subdirectorate on a pilot project to help source out the identity of criminals participating in global wildlife crimes such as the illegal trade of wildlife, the illicit trade of hazardous waste, the illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing, and the legal logging and trade of timber. And again, these are all wildlife-related crimes. These crimes have previously had a very low rate of detection and a very scarce conviction rate. With that, criminal organizations are becoming much more interested in this type of crime because, again, it's often linked to other forms such as terrorism, firearms, smuggling, and money laundering. Globally, CSI member programs information has led to over 965,000 arrests since inception. And that represents, we just hit over the $11 billion mark in recovered drugs and stolen property. That's a whole lot of stuff. Canada does represent globally 30% of those statistics. Now, it's not that Canada is a corrupt country by any means, it's just we have one of the earliest Crime Stopper programs and have developed our programs here in Canada before many new countries have joined this international cause. So as you can see, here in York Region, we're very much a part of a much larger organization, which covers most of the globe. One of the things that we've done here for the last many years in York is we've held a symposium for high school kids. And we've had representatives from all the different high schools come for a one-day event, and you guys are going to be there pretty soon, and hopefully you're going to be at our event. So in anticipation of that event, we've run a poster competition. And we've said to all the students in the high schools, if you'd like to send us a poster and tell us what you think Crime Stoppers is, and we'll usually give them a theme. And we have received hundreds of just amazing submissions. So every year, a few of us sit down at a table and we decide we're going to pick a couple of those submissions. We don't pick a best, we don't pick a first and a second, but we certainly are very privileged to have two of our winners here with us today, and I want them to come up and join me, and they're going to show you what they did in their interpretation of the poster competition. And I just again want to praise the work that was done because it's sensational. As I mentioned earlier today, from a person that's very much challenged when it comes to the artistic side of things, I'm very envious of what you guys have been able to do. For the first time ever, both the students that are winners today are from the same high school. We've never had that before. They're from St. Teresa's. I'm also going to ask that their teacher, Nathan Shrubsole, he's going to join us up here as well, if you don't mind. So first, in no particular order, but I'm going to ask Louisa Bastoni to join us here, please.
Nice one, man.
Next, Alan Kravchenko. Alan, would you join us here as well, please? Just stand up here, guys, for a second. What do you think, guys? Pretty amazing? So in recognition of this, we have a small appreciation for our winners. We have a couple checks here that we're going to present to them. I'm going to ask the chief and Jack if you'd like to join me as well up here and do the presentations. So again, big check means lots of money. Yes, definitely. So we can just keep it below your poster so we can still see the poster, that would be great.
Okay. We'll take turns at doing this.
That's not work better.
Okay, everyone looking at my lens, please. And we'll do a few of these. And one more, please. Thank you.
And just focus over here, huh?
Thanks.
Thank you.
So these posters are going to be seen throughout York Region throughout the entire year as we continue to do different events. These will be on display as well as others in places such as the Richmond Hill Theatre for the Performing Arts, some of your schools. So again, I want to thank both of you for the time and effort that you put into this. It's greatly appreciated and it's going to be put to very good use. So thank you. Next, I'm going to ask Jack to join us again to talk about some work that's going to be done here in York Region in the near future, and that we're all very excited about. So, Jack.
Thank you, David. You know, everybody has a passion, and I think it can get channeled in different directions. Our board has decided that we're going to have an initiative in our area of York Region that has been highlighted here a couple of times, and I'd like to first off thank Dave Forster. Not too many people are aware of the kind of work that he has done. David is very involved in our local board, our Canadian Board of Crime Stoppers, our International Board of Crime Stoppers, and without his drive and determination, a lot of these issues that we're discussing today would not be as paramount, front and center in our community. And I know when David, in his role as Ontario Association of Crime Stoppers chair, has initiated many partnerships, one with the Ontario Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, another one which is the Toronto Zoo. And coming out of this, is an issue that a number of our directors became aware of when we were at the 2014 International Crime Stopper Conference in Cape Town, South Africa. And I tell you, the devastation and that is happening on a global front with the illicit and illegal trade of animals is frightening. And I hope that if we can cover that and bring a little sharper focus on what is happening right in our backyard, but also tied in with our regional, provincial, and Canadian fronts, that we'll be able to reverse some of this that is happening. David had indicated that last year the Toronto Zoo and the Ontario Association of Crime Stoppers unveiled their latest co-venture to support a campaign focused on the illegal harvest and trade of turtles. And that last poster at the end there is one that just graphically illustrates how important this is. This initiative was aimed at educating and encouraging individuals to help put an end to this shocking crime. It is a fact that the trafficking of wildlife is on a par with the illegal trade in guns, drugs, and people. Like elephant ivory and rhino horns, turtles taken from the wild are part of a global illegal wildlife trade, estimated to be worth as much as $30 billion a year. So whether it's a professional poacher in the illegal pet trade, or an individual capturing and trying to sell a rare species, the trade in turtles is a real and serious issue right in our own backyard. Rare turtles in Ontario, such as wood turtles, spotted turtles, and blanding turtles, are prized by collectors addicted to adding these species to their collections. Species such as snapping turtles are wanted for both food and for collectors. 7 of 8 turtle species in Ontario are at risk, and although several factors contribute to this issue, illegal turtle trade is something that can be reduced through education and the public's willingness to report suspected illegal activities through avenues like Crime Stoppers. Given the length of time most turtles take to mature and reproduce, taking even one turtle from the wild can hurt the entire population. Poaching is a serious issue which can have detrimental impacts on the sustainability of turtle populations, not only in York Region, but throughout Canada. This past fall in Toronto, David mentioned about the International Crime Stopper Conference. This topic was discussed, the illicit and legal trade of wildlife. And our board has decided to take the initiative, and on March 31st, the Newmarket Theatre, Crime Stoppers, our local, provincial, and national partners will address the serious issue of this illegal and illicit trade of wildlife. The illegal trade of wildlife, again, to re-emphasize, is the 4th most lucrative criminal activity worldwide, only exceeded by the trade of narcotics, counterfeiting, and human trafficking. Crime Stopper programs throughout Ontario, Canada, and the world are assisting law enforcement by engaging the community to anonymously report these illegal activities to Crime Stoppers. So if you see somebody down by a stream and they have, little containers that they might be taking things from the wild, that's a crime, and it needs to be reported. So we look forward to your attendance at this important symposium, and hopefully we can talk more about this after, and thank you again for your attention.
Thanks, Jack. Okay, now some fun stuff. Right? Just over a year ago, I had an invitation to have lunch one day with a gentleman that was one of the co-creators of a legendary Canadian comic book character called Captain Canuck. So we sat at lunch and we visited, and he told me about the exploits of Captain Canuck over the last 40 years and all the things that he's done and accomplished. With that, we had some further discussion about, geez, what a great idea it would be if some of the other famous characters in Canada specifically could participate with Captain Canuck and maybe develop a relationship. One of the co-creators of Captain Canuck is with us here today, and I'm going to have Fadi Hakim join me here. And just for your information, when this is all over with, Fatty will be very happy to sign your comic books for you if you like. I would take advantage of that. So, with that, Fatty, would you like to say a few words before we go any further?
Absolutely. Hi guys, my name's Fatty. I'm one of the fellows behind Captain Canuck. Richard, who's the original creator from 1974, is in Mexico teaching kids how to draw. So luckily, well, unfortunately, he's not here today because he can maybe show you a couple of tricks. I kind of took a few things away from this. I think don't collect turtles, collect comics, I think is kind of a trick that you might want to take away. We are absolutely honored, and I speak for Richard as well, to be working with Crime Stoppers on this amazing project. Crime Stoppers, growing up, Crime Stoppers, I've always known that Crime Stoppers existed. It's one of those rare programs that actually work, that engages the community, and just basically puts the power into the community's hands, and kind of gets them to be responsible. And ultimately, that's how heroes are born. You know, we like to think that Captain Canuck is that same guy. You know, he's responsible. He takes it upon himself to do right and to stand up for rights, his rights and rights of others. That being said, Captain Canuck is a fictitious character, and ultimately the real heroes are here in this room. You guys, I can't believe, I am absolutely staggered by the amount of time that you guys spend and the amount of time that you guys volunteer to this amazing program, to actually giving all of us you know, the power to kind of take back our streets, take back everything. So I'd like to thank you so much for being part of this, and I look forward to a few more years. Great, thank you.
So there was a rumor going around today that actually the Crime Stopper was going to be here, but as all of you know, that Crime Stopper must be anonymous, so we wouldn't know if we were looking at them. They could be anywhere in this room for that matter. But when news traveled that the Crime Stopper may show up, I heard another rumor that potentially, possibly, Captain Canuck may be in the area and might drop by to see us. And when that rumor spread, United heard about it, and I think United decided that he would like to be here as well, by the slim chance that he may also get a chance to meet the Crime Stopper. So with that, I think we're going to be joined by Captain Canuck and United. Now, Captain Canuck's giving out a very special comic book. That's one that very, very few people will get. It's called a variant copy, our variant edition, and that's a special gift for you guys.
Thank you.
So, and again, you may want to speak with Fatty, and perhaps he'd be more than willing to sign your copy if you like. Also, if you'd like to have your picture taken with our heroes, we think that would be a great idea. So with that, I'm going to thank everyone for being here. We're going to adjourn our launch today. I do want to say, I'm a little biased obviously because Crime Stoppers of York Region is my program as well as where I reside, my passion. And I want to take an opportunity to congratulate Crime Stoppers of York Region on the work that they do as a group, as a board, the successes that we've had here in York. I'm sure we'll be here a year from now with more information, more news, more interesting statistics, and maybe some more news about our heroes. So with that, thanks everyone, and come up and meet our crime-fighting heroes.
heroes, everybody up. Everybody shout heroes, arms up in the air.
Congratulations. Nice job. Congratulations.